So I had my medical devices training in US during master's, PhD, and postdoc, where I was very fortunate to work on some really cutting-edge medical technologies, like restoring vision in blind patients by electrically stimulating the nerve cells in the retina. So I had really a fortunate training where I was able to work with multiple disciplines, biology, medicine, different fields of biology, different fields of engineering and medicine. Then in 2008, I sort of had the feeling that, want to put this to use. India was also in a transition post 2000. Then I decided to come back, join IIT Madras. So my primary motivation of joining IIT Madras at that time was it seemed to be the right place, and it is the right place, for doing translational R&D that develops technologies and gets it all the way to commercial devices. That was my motivation. And the challenges were quite clear. Professor Anand was the director at the time, and I had this first conversation with him. He said, this is a very different kind of an ecosystem where we don't have a medical school, we don't have life sciences in a focused way inside IITs. So you need to develop this ecosystem. And this ecosystem for medical technologies consists of not only engineers, doctors, hospitals, public health agencies, and industries, which was at a very, very nascent stage. In one way, even today, India's domestic medtech industry is still at a infancy. So these were the challenges, and we said that we have to form an ecosystem. So we started creating this ecosystem from 2010, 2011 onwards, and today, so that laid the seeds for Healthcare Technology Innovation Center, which is today a leading medtech R&D center in the country, and that's how HTIZ came about. So if you were to point out one important thing which we actually don't celebrate well enough, is the quality healthcare that we get in India at a price point which is nowhere in the world. So India's annual healthcare spending, this includes public, private, out of pocket, altogether is, on average per year around 6,000, 8,000 rupees, around $80 to $100. Right? So with that, we are able to provide quality, very, very high quality healthcare at the top, and all the way to even 60, 70%, we are able to provide very, very good quality healthcare. So this is a strength. So any technology solutions or any model, any process innovations, any business model innovations which has happened in a couple of cases, really has, it's a crucible that it has actually withstood, that you can actually deliver very, very high quality healthcare through this solution. So that is actually India's biggest strength. Now the challenge also, which is actually becoming a significant challenge now, how do these startups scale and become significant in a commercial sense? Essentially, this means that you have to become global. And this perhaps is today holding the startups back. They are innovating and solving problems for the Indian healthcare market, but that alone is not enough, especially in medical devices. So if you look at the way our pharma has worked out, is really an inspiration where it is able to deliver really, really high quality, low price point quality products, but it's able to export that to global markets, and that has not happened in medical technology. When I say medical technologies, devices, technologies that are regulated differently from drugs and pharmaceuticals. So that is perhaps the biggest challenge, and scale is the biggest challenge, and global market access is another challenge. So the Indian startups have to figure out a way. It is challenging, we are really aware of this, but that without solving for that challenge, you really cannot build a scaled startup that is commercially successful, and that is something become eventually a globally powerful player. So in fact, healthcare is probably a field where you could argue that data science and AI had the least impact till date. And there are reasons for that. Healthcare data is highly fragmented. Many cases it's also unstructured because it's a practice that involves judgment both from clinical perspective and from patient perspective. So it is healthcare has had a data science and AI had a minimal impact in healthcare, which essentially means it can only grow up. So there is a lot of potential, but it will succeed where the data and the information is able to be crunched in a way that it actually delivers patient outcome. So that has been a question in many cases. Data gets crunched, but it's only analysis, but not necessarily it improves patient outcome. So, and for that, there is a sense of formalization of healthcare industry also need to happen. So, which is started to happen in India. There is consolidation happening at healthcare provider level. So, definitely, and you do see companies in India which are focused on Indian markets today, which have data and AI, and this will only increase. It will definitely go up. Today, if you take digital and IT in healthcare, it is a very small percentage. It's 1 or even sub 1% overall. So it has a huge room to grow, but it has to deliver value for the patient and for the provider. So till date, the center has developed various technologies which today are in about 12 to 15 products, commercial products. Till date, it has touched more than 13 million patients, around 1.3 crore patients, both in India and abroad. So if I had to pick one, and obviously the first one stands out because it's a pioneering effort, so everything was new, was the mobile eye surgical unit, which is essentially this challenge was posed by Dr. Badranath, when we had met him in our early days. So he said, blindness in India, very surprisingly, still cataract is still leading cause of blindness. And we were very surprised because it was a very affordable surgery, and the government was providing coverage both through insurance and by hospitals. The private hospitals were, including philanthropy, were doing a very good job. But where is the problem? It turns out access is the issue, because these surgical facilities are there only in urban areas and large urban agglomerations. So in rural areas, there is no surgical facility. And even if you build one, you can't maintain it, you can't staff it. So he sort of challenged us, can you come up with a technology which can have the entire surgical facility in a very small space that can be moved to a rural area where you can do the surgery there, and then you can move on to the next facility. Now the challenge in this is essentially turns out to be an engineering and a technology challenge. You, in a land-based hospital, you take for granted many things: clean air, clean water, a flat piece of land, a stable thing, and how do the patient workflow, the clinicians, and all of this has a direct impact on the healthcare outcome, the surgical outcome of it. So we engineered a new system, literally. It's the first time it's been done with the 2 vehicles where the surgical facility, the operation theatre and the patient prep room is recreated in a much, much smaller space, 1/3 to 1/4 of the space that is normally available in a hospital, but with a continuous sterility monitoring. And there are various technology innovations that have gone into it, and we created this, and then when it was deployed is when we really saw the impact, because it turns out that the backlog in cataract surgery, even in advanced healthcare advanced states like Tamil Nadu, is as high as 30 to 40%. So this is cumulative, right? Over a period of time, you have large number of people, and when we did the first set of pilot in Vellore district, where it has hospitals around, there were a lot of people who were blind because of cataract for several years. It was really shocking. And so it was truly gratifying for us to see that this intervention making an immediate impact, where we go there, and then Shankaranath rolled out this surgical facility, and you could see people come in the morning, they were blind for several years, and just after the surgery they were able to see. So that is perhaps the one that is very close to our heart in terms of impact. And then we had various innovations, close to about 12 to 13 innovations that have actually become fully commercial products today. All of them are, give us this fulfillment, but perhaps the first one stands out. So, I mean, this is translational R&D leading to technologies that is needed here and now. Now, it's also important for you to create advanced technologies and advanced sciences. So that's important because there is today and then there is tomorrow. So we continuously keep looking at what are the areas where there are large open spaces globally, frontier areas that India can actually make a significant dent on. So we were looking at that, and this idea came during interactions with our alumnus, Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan. In around 2015-16, he had seeded this idea in us, saying that can we do something in brain research, particularly at the interface of neuroscience and engineering. And we picked up on that larger theme, and then we developed a proposal to image whole human brains. The entire human brain has not been imaged anything better than a millimeter, because the brain is actually inside a skull. So non-invasively, you cannot image it better than a millimeter. But if you want to see the brain in detail, you have to image it at a micron level, which means that you have to create a new technology platform to do whole brain imaging. So this is something that we picked up as a project, and today we at this IITM Brain Center houses perhaps one of the most advanced, globally cutting-edge technology platforms that can take a whole human brain post-mortem and image it at cellular resolution. So just to give you a sense of it, there are close to 100 billion neurons in the brain and several 100 billion support cells which support this neuron. To see each of them at a cellular level, you need to image the entire brain at a micron or half a micron. And this technology platform, which is one of the most advanced in the world, is able to take a human brain, slice it into 10 to 20 micron thin sections and image each of them at half a micron. And you can probably see the complexity of this. How will you handle so many sections, and how will you microscopically image all of them? And then once you do all this, you have several petabytes of data for each brain. Now, how do you visualize them? How do you analyze them? It becomes a huge computational challenge. And we have built up this pipeline, which starts from a brain acquired post-mortem. And we have acquired close to 200 brains till date, starting from fetus all the way to old age, across age groups, across genders, various diseases, infections, neurodegenerations, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, mental retardation, brains. And all of this, we are on our way to create perhaps the largest brain data repositories in the world. Through this, with correlation with diseases, we are starting to create breakthroughs in terms of discoveries, which will give insights in terms of how the brain is organized in the first place. That question itself is still unanswered. And over that, which disease affects which part of the brain in what way at a detail level. Today, we don't have that kind of detail. So that process is started. In fact, the first set of results, the second trimester fetal brain, which actually brain development is quite rapid, we had just publicly released this data, starting from 14-week gestational week to 24th gestational week fetal brain under the platform's name Dharani. We have released it. This was a work that was done in collaboration with medical institutions in the country, plus researchers from 5 different countries in the world. So the challenge in forming this ecosystem is we didn't have a natural medical devices, medtech, R&D ecosystem. So we, from IIT Madras, went out and reached out to various hospitals across the country, both public and private, different public health agencies, and DBT played a very significant role. Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, they played a significant role in taking a big risk in setting up this R&D center, providing the initial support. And what brought these people together was perhaps this shared passion that we do have to develop indigenous medical technologies. Can't import, high-tech imports in India and medical technologies are as high as 90-95%. So we wanted to change that, and that mission was shared by various people, and that probably led to different people coming together. And today, this ecosystem consists of 40 different medical institutions, industries coming together and developing these medical technologies. So one thing unique about healthcare is when you do an innovation, when you do R&D, when you do something, it has a direct and in many cases immediate impact and benefit to the patients, people, families and society. And that is something that you cannot be untouched when you're working in this area. And that perhaps is the biggest motivator, I would say, at a personal level, that we do all these technologies and it creates a significant impact in the lives of people. Now, at a socio-economic level, healthcare is becoming very, very important for India. And it's in a very interesting situation where we do have a very large number of births, around 25 million children born. And we are also starting to have an aging population that's increasing. So we do have a two-sided problem. And it is starting to have a socio-economic impact. And nuclear families are having an impact in terms of how healthcare needs to be delivered and needs to be managed. So that is a very big motivator. At an economic, at a commercial and a strategic level, we today are importing 80%, some cases 90% of medical technologies out of consumption of around 1 lakh crore. And that's something that we cannot continue. So we need to make a dent on this, start to reduce this import dependency. We can import, but it should be at a level where we have the capacity to develop these technologies as well. And that is something that from a strategic, from a commercial, economic point of view as a country, that is another motivator.